Hope sometimes feels very far off. When things get tough and bleak, we tend to ask this question: where is God? If you've ever felt like that, I don't want you to think you're alone, because you're not. I'm Reverend Kevin, and this is Wisdom Fragments, where we find the fragments of God's wisdom and tell them all to you. So today's wisdom is all about the Lord of the Rings. So this is about when our worth is being called into question when things are getting hard. You know, we can end up feeling like we're abandoned or we're being punished. And that's not the case. God is not punishing you. God is not abandoning you. And it doesn't really matter how much it feels like it, this is not the case. It can seem like God is not compassionate. And we aren't going to explain why God seems not to act today, because that's for a later video. But I want to show you how we can know that there is still hope, and that hope was kindled. And yeah, we can see this in the Lord of the Rings, specifically the return of the king. And we're going to talk about the lighting of the Beacons of Gondor and show us how to find this hope in darkness, and that life often feels difficult because we lack understanding of how to navigate both our challenges and our desires. See, we're not always taught how to manage our emotions, and making it easy for us to feel abandoned when things don't go our way by a higher power. These feelings of abandonment often stem from a lack of apparent favor or help at all. And so it's like the Beacons of Gondor. The lightings of the beacons is like when we beg for the divine help. And so here's what happens. So Pippin climbs to the highest tower. At the top of the tower is a giant bonfire. These bonfires, they were to be lit to let the neighboring kingdoms know that Gondor was in trouble and needed help. And so as Pippin sets the fire ablaze, the next bonfire has its soldiers see it, and they light theirs. Then the next, and then the next, and the mountains start lighting up one by one with the signal fires. Eventually it is seen by whomever needs to see it. And this is why Aragorn and Rohan, who tells the king this, and then Rohan answers the call and rides out, says, and Rohan will answer. But nobody knows this is even happening. Nobody can see this. This is all happening behind the scenes. And that's sometimes why we lose hope. We don't see what's going on that we can't see. And Gandalf delights when he sees the fires, and this is what he says. See, this isn't just a cry for help. These flames show us hope. These flames are what pierce our darkness, and they start inspiring us. This is the symbol that shows up when we pray. When we reach out to God, it's like lighting a beacon. The physical act itself becomes the symbol that we need. Even in the darkest hours, there is that spark that can ignite divine aid, and it can give us this resilience that we need. Lighting the beacons symbolizes reaching out to God, and this is a simple act of faith, and it's often enough to initiate a response. Just as with the people of Gondor, they are strengthened by the knowledge that the help is on its way. Even when we face personal struggles, we can find comfort in the belief that God hears our cries for help. You see, this connection is shared hope that can change our experiences from one of constant struggle to one of growth and healing. So a small act of faith can ignite our hope, and it's comforting and empowering. And just as the beacons symbol and they signal the start of an alliance between Gondor and Rohan, it's like we're reaching out to God and forging this divine connection and bringing about an unexpected support and strength. And so this is a powerful metaphor, and it highlights that hope and faith can transcend isolation, and they can transcend despair and creating a ripple effect that can lead to profound change. And the physical act of lighting the beacons mirrors the internal act of kindling hope and finding faith within oneself. In the bleakest moments, there is a spark that can ignite a chain reaction of divine support and a chain reaction of resilience. When we feel abandoned by God, it's critical that we remember that reaching out for help, it's much like lighting a beacon, is a sign of strength and courage. This act of seeking divine intervention can transform one's lives and experiences from constant struggle to one of growth and healing. And understanding how to navigate these challenges is key. It's key to overcoming the feeling of being abandoned. You see, many people struggle because they were never taught how to handle emotions or how to recognize their trauma. And so what they end up doing is they end up bypassing it. It's called spiritual bypassing when you do it. And this lack of knowledge can make things seem incredibly unfair and lead to feelings of being punished by God. And so the scenes of the beacons being lit is a reminder of how this really works in the real world, that God's help is out there and is reaching out in faith. And it's not a sign of weakness to do so, but it's a sign of strength and of hope. And the beacons go out and out and out. And the lighting of the beacons itself is what's important, because we have no idea if Rohan is coming in. You see, the idea of that hope and faith is the most powerful thing that's out there when it's shared. And the people of Gondor, they aren't alone, and neither are we. And when we're facing our trials, the scene of the beacons of hope from Gondor, of them being lit in the Lord of the Rings, in the Return of the King, the third movie. So this is a metaphor for hope and the power of reaching out in faith. In Gandalf's words, hope is kindled, shows us how the flames serve as this powerful reminder that we can overcome these difficult times, and that it's our faith and our community and our resilience that we get from God. Even in the face of overwhelming darkness, hope can be reignited, and it can lead to new strength and new solidarity. Just as the people of Gondor felt isolated before the lighting of the beacons, we might feel completely alone and abandoned. And we might feel punished by God. But we only have to look to the beacon that we light to know that this is not true. That we can look to that beacon that we lit to find that hope and support, and that help is coming. It just might be in an unexpected way.